everybody, and welcome to the 5th edition of Gyanpedia. Today's program is Stay Fit, Stay Young, and we have the most enterprising person called Milind Halbe from Satara, who is joining us. He's an entrepreneur by profession and a fitness fanatic at heart. He's a certified Chi running, Chi as in CHI running instructor, a regular marathon runner, trekker and mountaineer. He is also a dedicated practitioner of breathing techniques and a keen wildlife photographer. Today, Milind will enlighten us about the importance of staying fit, staying young. He'll share his experiences, insights and photographs, and even teach us some breathing exercise to improve health and wellness. Speaking of health, I must mention that we are also requesting people to give us donation for Nityasha Foundation, our sister NGO, which is working for children suffering from type 1 diabetes, children coming from the very poor section of our society. I am now going to give you the QR code of which we request you to screen grab it or something so that you can send us the donation for Nityasha Foundation. There is another place where you can send in your donation is Give India. Give India is a NGO which collects funds, especially for people who are coming from outside India and they want to donate in dollars, pounds, yen, everything. So you can donate from this link. If you want, you can please screen share it. We'll be putting these links also in the chat box, and we'll also be sharing it in the invitations that we normally send to all our participants on WhatsApp, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, YouTube, and everything. These are some of the important contacts that we have of Gyanadam, under whom the Gyanpedia program is being conducted, and Nityasha Foundation. My phone number is very much there, 98230-10962. You can send me a WhatsApp message. We'll be in touch with you. Now, before I go any longer, I would now like to invite Mr. Milind Halbe to introduce himself and start presenting today's program, Stay Fit, Stay Young. Milind, over to you, sir.
Namaste. Thank you very much for inviting me on this platform today. I will be sharing this Stay Fit, Stay Young theme. And also I thank Mustafa Lokhandwala and Sandeep Ide to getting hooked to this program. Sandeep followed constantly and asked me to join and share my views about my experiences. So today's theme is Stay Fit, Stay Young. What is Stay Fit? Stay Fit is today's world. We need to keep ourselves very fit. For that, one must have to do exercises regularly. There is thumb rule, how much exercise one should do for various difficulties level or aerobic stages. Also, there are 64 arts or 5 hobbies. To ensure good quality of life, one must have at least 5 arts or hobbies. And enjoy these, one has to need his health in proper condition or at highest level. Now, next, stay young. What is stay young? It is essential to add value to your life. Most people ignore importance of breathing. 90% people don't breathe correctly. How to keep heart rate with correct breathing exercise is key aspect to deal with. Low heart rate will increase your life. As they say, your heartbeats are numbered when you are born. And learn how to lower your heart rate and stay young. Let's begin our session with our PowerPoint presentations. Stay fit, stay young. I have already mentioned about stay fit and stay young. Now we'll go to next slide. we'll go to next slide. Now my trekking experience. Let me introduce myself, how I came into trekking and fitness. So in 1976, I started my first trek. I was in school level. I used to participate in running and all athletics, also in badminton and cricket. I was champion at college level in badminton, and I was captain 4 years in cricket team. Now, in 1991, what happened? I was 31 years old. That time, high blood pressure was detected. My blood pressure was very high, but there were no other symptoms. My lower blood pressure was 140 and upper was 210. Doctor got really scared, and I also, because it wasn't stress related. It was essential, means it was from my birth. So, but doctor advised me to stop trekking, playing badminton or intensive exercises. So I stopped doing that, but I pursued my another hobby, astronomy. From 91 to 2009, I conducted various programs about meteor showers, then sky watching programs. But in 2009, I celebrated my 50th birthday. That time, I decided, let's go. I will enjoy all my hobbies which I left. So first of all, I started with bird photography and wildlife photography. Dr. Dhananjay Kelkar of Dinanath Hospital and me started going for, I joined him and started going for various bird watching trips all over India. Then in 2014, he came up with proposal, why not we do high altitude birding? We haven't done high altitude. Up till now, we were doing around 8,000 to 10,000 feet. Means that is around 2,500 meters. That's all. But he came with the idea of 6,000 meters. That was too much for me. I never had gone about 10,000 feet or 2,500 meters. But I said, yes, I will go. And I joined Mission Stoke Kangri. It was, the height was 6,123 meters, means 20,000 feet. It was almost double which I had done previously. Also, I had not done much trekking in Sahyadri also. So what I had done, I was given some program. I searched on net what to do, and so I came up with daily workout, what should be done before going high intensity exercise. So to keep oneself fit, one must need to work out for at least 180 minutes a week. For 6 days, one must do regularly 30 minutes exercise for 6 days. One day, one must take rest. Then for tough treks, if you are going for tough trek, fitness, you have to increase your fitness level, and you should do at least 360 minutes a week workouts. For Himalayan treks, you need another tough exercise workouts. For that, you must work out 540 minutes. And like Stoke Kangri, you must do workout about 720 minutes. Means almost 2 hours per day. So what I did, I divided in 2 halves, morning and evening. I used to go, I was very lucky to have Ajinkya Tara for just about 3 kilometers from me. So morning I used to go, it used to take full circuit I used to do. It was like 1 hour and evening 1 hour. But what our team leader said, you must do running also. So I started with running in Ghat section. First of all, I started with 2 kilometers, then 3 kilometers. And every week for 2 days or 3 days, I used to run for 7 kilometers uphill. So that gave me enough advantage while doing this expedition. And what is mountaineering? In mountaineering, your physical as well as mental strength is challenged, and you learn to stretch these abilities beyond your limits. I had to stretch my limits from 10,000 feet or 2,500 to up to 6,000. That was much beyond my limits, but I took that challenge. Let's go to our next slide. Then when our journey started, we landed in Srinagar by flight. And by Srinagar via Kargil, we took bus route. We were 9 of us and started with in our bus on way to Kargil. We took halt at Kargil. Then we visited Kargil War Memorial. It is a very beautiful place. And that also helped us to acclimatize slowly. That is the most essential thing you have to do when you are going for high altitude treks. You must acclimatize properly. We'll go. While we saw beautiful landscape, it's called Moonland. From Kargil to Leh, between there is Moonland. This appears just like you are on the moon, watching moon. Then as we further, we came across this, one of the best and oldest monastery, Lamayuru. That was a very beautiful place to visit in Ladakh section. Beautiful landscape and surrounded by mountains. We'll go to. Then we took 1 day rest at Leh to get acclimatized because we were around 2,800 meters or 11,000 feet. And then we were given this trekking map. There we have to come to Stoke village and our journey started. Mules are essential because we offload non-essentials which will require another, and we carry backpack with us. In backpack, we keep one thermal suit and then rainwear, tiffin, water bottles, and other thing we keep on mules. This is how at our first halt, our dining and kitchen was made. We'll go to next. We got a first glimpse of Stoke Kangri while we crossed Manokarma. Came to base camp. We did 2 treks to get acclimatized in that region. First was advanced base camp, and next was another, there was small peak, we went there and we got glimpse like that. And if you plan a tough expedition, you will get lesson probably no management school will teach you. That day what happened? When we did our one trek practice trek, suddenly we got call that today is best day to visit. Actually, our plan was to visit next day, but we got call that today weather is very good. You must leave tonight. So we have done already. We were exhausted by that, but we took rest and started our journey. At somewhere 18,000 feet, we came across with whiteout. It was totally whiteout, and we cannot see 1 feet ahead of us, and we got lost. For 1 hour, we were going here and there, but nothing. We could find our route. Then after 1 hour, when morning sun came up, we were able to find our route and came to shoulder. That was around 5,530 meters, about roughly 18,250 feet. There we got this beautiful view from there. Then we started our next visit. This is ridge. It was about 2,000 feet from shoulder. We were exhausted, and then we have to climb this 2,000 more feet. This was ridge, and somehow we managed and did our summit at 6,123 or 20,000. So this was my first experience of 20,000 feet peak. We are celebrating our victory here. Then our next, that was in 2015. Now next expedition was Mount Mera. That was another 6,400 meters or 21,000, 1,000 feet more. But this I completed up to 6,200 meters only. I will let, that time I learned a lesson. Never give up, but you must know your limits. That was the lesson I learned from this. Between time, I had run about 8 to 10 marathons and received certificate for running here with my son, Sumet, and he was also with us for Mount Mera expedition. We got flag off from Air Marshal Bhushan Gokhale. We'll go to. We arrived at Lukla, 2,820 meters, around 12,000 feet. It is on 18th April. Immediately after having lunch, we started our journey. We'll go. This was our first halt. We had breakfast here and started again for next journey. We came here, we had tents for us. That was 5-star accommodation, beautiful surroundings around us. This was tea house where we had our dinner that day. But what happened suddenly in night, there was heavy snowfall. And when we woke up, the scene was like this. And our tent next, we can see in our next slide, our tent was covered with snow. When we came out, everywhere there was snow. And it was chilling cold. Sudden snowfall changed the landscape, and it was difficult for us to climb. And this was most difficult terrain. We can see this very difficult terrain throughout the our trek, this was most difficult terrain. Here are the porters which carry our offloaded bags. Each porter carries about 30 kgs. Then we reached destination called Kothe. It was beautiful destination. You can see it in next slide. Beautiful small village. We took night halt there. Around there were beautiful white flowers everywhere. The night was beautiful, excellent. I couldn't imagine so many stars in the sky. I had seen sky, I had done star watching many times, but this was amazing place because no light pollution around. I took this photograph. Then when we started next morning, we came across one monastery on the way. We took some rest in monastery and proceeded. This was our dining hall at Mera base camp. We took practice trek, visited one glacier lake. This was formed because of glacier. This is not natural, but because of glacier broke, this lake was created. We went up to 5,000 meters for practice. There we saw this snowcock, female. It was very near. This is also Tibetan snowcock male. This is male. We also saw rose finch male. Small birds we saw there. We did practice Zumaring. Then next slide we'll see we were doing rock climbing, rappelling, which was needed in our next journey. This was when we started in morning. This was toughest climb we had to do with snow boots on. It was very difficult to travel in snow. It was like marriage. One hill after another hill. There was snow, nothing else. And sky, only sky and snow everywhere. Luckily, this is very wide terrain, so there is no chance to fall down. We reached there around 4 o'clock and stayed in these tents and started our journey. I reached up to 6,200 meters. We started at 2:30 night, and my son had some problem, headache, so I asked him to stay back and go back again. So one Sherpa was with him. He was also not feeling well. So both of them decided to go back at 8 o'clock morning. So what I did, I went up to, previously I had done 6,100 meters. So I went up to 6,002 meters, roughly around 5:30, and again came back to join my son and take him down. Luckily, he recovered immediately after coming down. While coming down, the weather was very clear and we can see the view was excellent. We could see 5,000, 8,000 peaks like Mount Everest and other things. Let's say, this is my son posing. He asked me to take one photograph. So I took one photograph before 8,000 peaks. This is our team, which complete 8 out of 9, 6 completed the trek. We 3 came back. We'll go to next slide. This was on return. 2 small young kids were saying namaste and goodbye to us. Mount Mera was very pleasing experience for me. Then I did one Norway and night photography tour. That was arranged by ourselves. We appointed one guide for and for night photography, that is Northern Light, and also one small trek there on snow, 6 kilometers. But for that, one must have to do practice. So I did practice here in Satara at night for night photography. This is how I took various types of photographs going out at night and taking photographs. We'll see another in next also. This is something new for me. Then there was one lunar eclipse. I went and took this beautiful photo. Previously, I was not getting good pictures, but after 8-10 days, I got success. I know what exposure to be kept, how long should be camera, shutter should be open, like that. And then I succeeded. Here also, results were getting better and better as I progress. 5-6 times I went to this place to get good quality of picture. Then we arrived at Tromso via Paris. First time I saw that, my wife was also there with us. So first time I saw that there was no on airport. Our airport, our plane landed in snow, and when we got, there was ankle level high snow was there on the airport. That was my first experience. Norway is most wonderful for landscape photography, mainly fjord. They call it fjord. A fjord is a long, narrow, and elongated sea or lake with steep land on three sides. The opening toward the sea is often shallow and called mouth of the fjord. We can see it is crystal clear water, and if you get good atmosphere, it's very beautiful. This was our 2-bedroom home at Tromso. We had real homes for us. I did one practice session in night when I went there. Then in morning, we rise. The atmosphere was very good, and our tour guide said that we'll try tonight for Northern Lights. So morning we took this photograph, and we started around 6:30. We had to travel 90 kilometers towards north to Arctic Circle, nearer to Arctic Circle. So where we'll get good pictures of Northern Lights. When we went there, we were surprised to see this beautiful galore of light. And we had chosen the date so that moon should go down after 9 o'clock. So curtain raiser was there. These double dhamaka like that. We were enjoying 3 hours of this from 8:30 to 11:30. We had wonderful time, really wonderful. It was mesmerizing. This was my best shot. What is Northern Lights? It is also called aurora borealis. This is because this phenomenon happens because of collision of between electrically charged particles from sun that enters into our Earth atmosphere. When they collide oxygen particles or nitrogen particles. Various types of colors we see are due to collision of these ions. Oxygen produces different color, nitrogen produces different color, high altitude oxygen produces different colors. Nitrogen, which produces purple red auroras, and that gives much more pleasure to watch. This is measured by KP index. If it is above 5, it is excellent. And on 12th February 16, we had 3.6 index. So it was good, not excellent. Sometimes if you have luck, it is around 7 and 7.5 also. That is just superb. We'll go to our now next slide. The moon is setting now. That time we took this picture. We took these trick photographies. This is done 30-second exposure we give, and just 1 second we flash torch on our heads. So you will get these types of pictures, trick photography. But you have to stand still, remain stand still for 30 seconds. This is how we took some good pictures. Now, next come to chi running. Chi running is a technique to improve your form for injury-free running. This is my medal I earned at Leh Marathon at high altitude. That this is toughest marathon in the world, one of the toughest marathon, because it is at high altitude and it's at Leh. We visited for acclimatization. We visited various places like Pangong to get at. We have to go at least 5 to 6, 7 days earlier. This is Pangong Lake, beautiful Pangong Lake. Again, this is Pangong Lake. This is also Mercer Lake. The center one is Danny Dreyer. He was our instructor of chi running. He invented this chi running technique. He had come to India. He's from USA. He had come to India, and we 25 of us took 5 days training of instructor course. Is Lee Hing Yen from Singapore. He was assistant of Danny Dreyer. He also came to my place, and incidentally, he's also breathing instructor. I learned breathing. He stayed with us for 7 days and taught me breathing. We'll come to that at next. So to enjoy your run, two main themes of chi running are energy. You must conserve your energy. Your energy efficiency you should moderate, and injury prevention. One must prevent your injuries. So chi running taught us how to do these forces. How to achieve? Chi running is based on two principles of Tai Chi. We'll come about to Tai Chi. What is Tai Chi? The two basic principles are relaxation and your form. What is Tai Chi? It is an art which controls mind, body, and spirit. Basically, Indian philosophy. It is adopted and developed by Chinese martial art trainers. Tai Chi is one of the most effective exercise for health of mind and body. The essential principle includes mind integrated with the body and control of movement and breathing. In Tai Chi, best way is to deal with these forces is to cooperate. If somebody is giving you punch, you have to go back. You don't oppose it. You have to cooperate. The force of punch will go down. That's why, that's also you can do in chi running. You have to cooperate two forces. By rearward movement like this, you can cooperate with oncoming force. There are two forces. One is gravitational force and the other is oncoming force. The oncoming force you can cooperate with rearward things like this. And gravitational force you can control with lean position like this. On right side you can see that is good posture and the other is wrong posture. Many people run like the man who is running on left. Next slide, we'll go to lifting ankles. Ankle lift is more important. There are two types of running we have. One is pushing. Pushing, what happens? You use force. While lifting, there is no force required to go ahead. You just lift your ankle and go forward like this. You can see here. Here my photograph is also on the right side. I'm trying to, no one is perfect. So here in my, there are a lot of correction to be needed, but at least I'm doing this. Then while you are going for running, you must do exercise regularly. And also pre-warm-up exercise one must do. Even animals do these exercises regularly. Like this here lion I saw in Africa. Here leopard is also doing warm-up before he planning hunt. Dog at bench, wild dog. This is wild dog. He's also stretching before going to hunt. Now last will come for breathing. This is most essential part. Patrick McKeown, who invented this oxygen advantage technique. What is oxygen advantage technique? He learned from India. He came here, stayed here for 6 months and learned about breathing exercises. And what he observed that proper control of breathing will lengthen your life, giving us vitality and power of resistance. We should develop power of resistance. Careless breathing and improper breathing will shorten our life by decreasing vitality and exposing to many diseases. We'll go to next slide now. The nose. Yogi Ramachakra wrote one book in 1903. In this book, he essentially said that nostril must be used instead of mouth. Nasal breathing is most important. He written one book in 1903. We'll go to next slide now. Importance of nose. Many of diseases in this modern civilized world undoubtedly are due to mouth breathing. Our nose, we don't know our nose. It performs at least 30 functions. And American Rhinology Society has noted that there are 30 functions our nose is doing for us. What are benefits of nose? Now, if you start doing nasal breathing, then you will inhale 10 to 20% more oxygen. Also, warm air goes inside. What happens if you breathe through mouth? Air will go directly to lung, and lungs have to do another function. So you will get exhausted quickly. So for that, one must do nasal breathing. We do nasal breathing regularly, and in order to do it regularly, one has to practice it by closing his mouth with tape for 20 minutes initially. So automatically he will start nasal breathing. Now, mouth breathing versus nasal breathing. Mouth has no protection. We don't have tissues, and mouth has basic function is for eating. And while nose, we have different type of tissues, hairs, which take care of contagious disease by filtering air and warming it up. We'll go to the spleen. When we do breathing exercise, there is a breath hold technique is used. If you do breath hold techniques, then spleen, which acts as a blood bank, will produce oxygen rich blood, and it will supply it directly to cardiac system. So it will take off load of cardiac system when you are doing intensive exercises. Erythropoietin, EPO. This is secreted by kidney. When you breath hold, EPO will be secreted, and RBCs, which are present in bone marrow, will be released. Oxygen-rich RBCs will be released, and they will go all over your body. So it will prevent from lactic acid formation and other parts, fatigues like that. We'll go to next slide and see that. This is EPO. This is also drug, banned drug. If you take outside, it is banned drug. Go to types of breathing. There are 4 types of breathings. One is high, it is called high breathing. What is high breathing? In this, you use these muscles only. These are very weak muscles. Then there is mid breathing. In this, you use thoracic muscles. Third one is belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Here you use strongest set of muscles. We have core muscles, and these are, if you use, this is best method. And there is last one is yogic breathing. In this, you use this one, mid breathing, this thoracic muscle plus diaphragm. All 3 muscles you use in yogic breathing. But that is difficult. We must concentrate on diaphragmatic breathing. This is simple. These exercises are very simple exercise, and they give multiple results to reduce breathlessness. Also, if you, it will improve your arterial oxygen uptake also. It improves tolerance to reduce oxygen. That is main essential things is you should survive in reduced oxygen levels. So because what happens when you are doing intensive exercise, oxygen intake is very low because you are breathing very fast. So if you reduce oxygen intake tolerance, then automatically you will improve your performance. Also, the more part is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, you should increase your resistance to carbon dioxide also. As I said, it will delay, the breath hold will delay fatigue and lactic acid. It will strengthen your respiratory muscles. No other exercise, external exercise will increase your lung capacity or strengthen your muscles. Only breathing will help to strengthen your muscles. All these should be done pre-match preparation. Also, there are another advantage. It will improve sleep. Your sleep will, when you do these exercises, your sleep will be sound and good. Also, snoring will stop. When you start nasal breathing, automatically your snoring will stop. Also, there one more advantage is there that digestion will improve because digestion requires combustion and combustion require oxygen. So if you are breathing properly, automatically your digestion will improve and also your acidity will go down. It is proven that these exercise will prevent asthma. Now, when you do proper breathing, nitric oxide, it is called NO. It is released in your nasal systems. And when this nitric oxide goes into your nasal system, it improves your combating skills towards bacteria, fungus, and other infectious materials. So if your flow is slow, then more nitric oxide will go inside and it will be absorbed. So your breathing should be slow. We call it LSD, long, slow, and deep. If it is long L, you're doing LSD, then automatically your nitric oxide absorption will increase. What nitric oxide does, it helps to increase arterial oxygen tension. So if arterial oxygen tension is increased, more oxygen will absorb in lungs. Then most essential is pulmonary vascular resistance. It reduces this resistance and also it affects the growth of various pathogen, bacteria, fungi, as I told earlier, and viruses. So nitric oxide is most powerful tool in breathing. Now I will show exercises. This is last exercise. Before that, I'll show what exercise I'm doing for the last 2 years based on pranayam and oxygen. The exercises, first exercise is these exercises are pranayam based exercise. But in pranayam, we do breath hold on inhale. While in this exercise, we do breath hold on exhale. That is more important because you have to develop skill to resist carbon dioxide. If there is no oxygen inside, it will create hunger for oxygen and it will warm up. We call it warm up exercise. In this, you have to pinch middle finger by thumb and sense your pulse. There are pulse inside. You can feel with some practice. Initially, may not feel, but with some practice, you will feel pulse. This is in this session. You have to do 3 minutes LSD. That means long, slow, and deep breath. Deep means diaphragmatic breathing. In this case, you have just to concentrate on pulse and breath that goes inside. When you intake, your stomach should come out. When you exhale, stomach should go out. In. Intake, out. Exhale, in. Intake, out. Your stomach is coming out. I'll show just 1 second. Now I am taking deep breath. Of course, I am showing this purposefully, forcefully. It should be very slow breathing for 3 minutes. This is warm up for 3 minutes. Next exercise is you have to hold, you have to inhale 4 seconds by both nostrils and 6 seconds out by both nostrils. Now also I am pinching middle finger. I have taken deep breath. Exhale 6 seconds. Again 4, 6. 4, 6 by both nostrils. The third exercise, you pinch your right nose and breathe by one nostril only. Now I'm going to breathe through left nostril. 4 seconds in. This is 3-minute exercise. Next exercise is another 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. It should be cyclic. Simple cycle like this. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. It should be rhythmic. Then next exercise is you pinch, put your middle finger here, press your left nostril, inhale 4 seconds, then pinch, release this nostril and 6 seconds out. Again, this is Anulom Vilom. Same we do in pranayam. But these are most powerful exercises because these are based on exhale. So we create hunger and we can live in lower oxygen levels also better. So the next exercise is 10-second normal breathing. I am doing this normal breathing. Ten seconds are over, suppose. I exhale everything. My stomach has gone inside. 20 seconds. Again, 10 seconds normal breathing. Second, hold on, exhale. Again, 10 seconds. This you have to repeat for 10 minutes. This is most important exercise because that will, when you take short break, you should able to cope up your breathing immediately. That will help you in this exercise. Then the next most important to reduce heart rate is that video. We are going to see this video. We call it MBT. Here what you do, first 1 minute, again you have to do relaxation, what I told. 1 minute you relax, complete relaxation you do. Hold yourself 1 minute at one place. Look at the watch. When 1 minute's over, you start walking. You have to walk 10 steps. You will see in next few minutes, I will start walking. Breathing normally. I will walk 10 steps, breathing normally. Here, I exhale and hold my nose. Pinch it tightly and walk as much as possible. Initially, you will do 15 or 16 steps. But remember, your target is 80 steps. You have to walk 80 steps. Here, I have done almost 70 steps. This exercise should be done 3 times. When you do for 1 month, then you will find your heart rate will come down after 1 month. After this exercise, your heart rate will come down by at least 15 pulses. If it is, my wife was against this exercise, but somehow I convinced her and started. Her pulse was 90. Now it is around 65. It came down to 65 after 1 year. And my pulse was 58 to 60. Now it is around 40 to 41. So low, my pulse rate has come down. And that took off my heart. Next, we'll go to next slide. How to breathe. During competition, there is no need to take bigger breaths because you unnecessarily will put pressure on your muscles, breathing muscles. So, as I said, your practice should be LSD, long, slow, deep breaths. And you should bring relaxation to your body. When you are breathing, you should try to bring relaxation. After some practice, you will master this art of keeping yourself relaxed while breathing. And breath hold should not be done in match or while you are running. It should be done as a warm-up exercise. Say at least 30 minutes. And this exercise should be done at any time. You can do any time. After lunch, after dinner, before dinner, in morning, anytime when your time you should do all these exercises at a stretch. Next slide will go. This is what I achieved. This is called VO2 max, volume of oxygen in your blood. What is that? That is cardiovascular fitness will bring your age down. They are showing, this is Garmin, they are showing my age is 20 because this VO2 max is 52. Earlier, my VO2 max was 40, and that time it was showing my age 38, my fitness level, and now only 1% of my gender are so fit. That's what Garmin is showing, of course. Now we'll go to next slide. So importance is, this was how in 2017 I was like that, and after this I took diet, Dixit diet, eating twice a day. I stopped taking milk and sugar and reduced from 71 to 62. And so I am feeling more energetic while I am running. That time also I did around, in 2017 up to 2000, I did 10 marathons. But after doing this diet plus workout, regular workout, now I am feeling much more younger and stronger. Famous, he has written that you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old when you stop playing. So, friends, we'll conclude. Keep doing exercise to stay young. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Milinji. It was a beautiful presentation, excellent photographs. I had a couple of questions.
Okay.
Basically, I'm involved, as you know, with a sport called rowing, and I have been coaching the Indian team also. The biggest challenge is how to quickly improve VO2 max, because that is directly related to the performance in a race in that sport.
Yes, that is most important.
So how do you quickly do that?
Quickly, it will take at least 15 to 20 days. That
Yes.
MBT exercise, walking, holding, and there is advance also that I have not come up with here, because that is advanced and that should be needed under guidance of trainer.
Right.
But it will improve if I show demonstration, and if you follow, in 15 days your VO2 max will improve. I will guarantee that. And that is most helpful in any aerobic activity, any sports. You take cycling, swimming, it is much needed. And we do not give emphasis to breathing, unfortunately.
True.
No Indians give importance to breathing. They don't follow. All Olympic, even Djokovic has followed this oxygen advantage technique. He said up to 2014, he was losing all 5-setter matches. But he started following this breathing exercise. He said, I never lost any 5-setter game after that when I started breathing. So breathing is most important. I give emphasize 40% breathing, 40% your form, and 20% other means activities.
Right. How do you measure it easily? Is there an easy way? Because conventionally it is measured by taking a blood, this thing.
No, Garmin has that facility. It is not accurate, but it is. It can show you at least. Garmin has. You have to use Garmin. You use Garmin only while you are exercising. Otherwise, it won't show proper result.
Right. My second question is, in most aerobic sports, you know, you have what is called as a second breath. It's a Splachnik shunt, where you shift from anaerobic mode of metabolism to aerobic mode of metabolism. How is there a way where we can quickly shift?
Repeat breath hold. That is the technique.
Okay.
if you do repeat breath hold for 10 minutes, you
Hmm.
will sleep automatically because you are doing practice breath holding, surviving without oxygen up to 20 seconds. 20 seconds is large time. For that test, we called it BOLT test,
Hmm.
blood oxygen level test. You have to, when you exhale, on exhale, you have to measure how many seconds you can hold. Earlier, I started with 18 seconds.
Hmm.
Now I can hold my breath up to 1 minute after
Right.
practice. 1 minute. So holding 1 minute, that gives chance to go from anaerobic to aerobic.
Aerobic.
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. I
Sandeep.
think I have finished my
Sandeep.
questions.
I request Sandeep to speak now.
Yeah.
Hey, Milind, first of all, thank you very much for informative and also, you're a role model probably for many other people how to take this on. So first of all, I really appreciate you giving us an overview. I think it was a little cramped, so I would like to invite you back again. Maybe do a special session only on breathing because that's very important. First thing I liked your initiative of starting to trek pretty late in life. It's not like you started when you were 10 or 15. So
Yeah.
that gives many of us who are now 60 plus category to restart our passions. I think I'm more than convinced now that to lengthen life, breathing is absolutely necessary. One question I have, by the way, you were talking about Northern Lights.
Yes.
I just put it on Facebook. Right now, the activity is pretty high. And
Yes.
in fact, tonight itself in Portland, I'm going to go
Procedural
out a little
We
farther
make copy,
away.
we leave that in.
Oh, you did that.
So,
Otherwise, I'll forget.
Okay. My voice is on now, so
Oh,
that's okay. Yeah, thank you.
I might even get a chance to see Northern Lights here in Portland tonight. So I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward here again.
Send us some pictures, Sandeep.
If it's a lucky chance. If I get it, I'll do it. There is no guarantee, as I think Milind has said. If you are there and if it happens, it's great. So I had seen them before, but seeing it again is again a chance. One thing that would help us, at some stage or maybe offline, if you could send us, you said it took about 10, 12, 15 shots maybe before you got the good astronomy pictures. It would be
Yes.
helpful. Both Mustafa and I are in the field of astronomy,
Yes.
and it would be very helpful for us. Let me give others also a chance. So I'll definitely connect with you offline. But thank you very much again for a heartwarming, no pun intended, heartwarming presentation and it was very inspirational. Thank you very much.
I think Danny is there.
Yeah, Danny is there. Danny, if you would like to speak, I'll spotlight you. So
Please,
Okay,
Danny.
can you hear me okay?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can hear me all right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Milind. It's so nice to see you again. I follow you
Yeah.
on Facebook every day. And I was walking with you through to Kashmir the whole time.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful to follow you with that. But I also really appreciate your really thorough covering of all these subjects. It's a lot, it's very packed. It's a lot to get in, but you did a really concise job of getting it all in. The one thing that I would say is the whole thing about breathing better and deeper and making sure that you're breathing in a relaxed way when you're exercising or competing or whatever you're doing. One of the best ways to be able to relax and breathe easier is whatever sport you're doing, really try to focus on making your technique as efficient as you possibly can. So that's why I started with running. So it's when I met Patrick McEwen to learn all the breath work, it was easier for me to adapt to the new breath work because I was already working at being very relaxed when I was running and walking. So for your audience, it is I focus on running, and you teach chi running too, but it's really important, whatever sport you are, find a coach, get as efficient as you can, get relaxed in your movement, move from your center. There's so many things that all of this combines into, and to create a really good athlete, and long-lasting athlete.
What are your views about starting running at older age? Danny?
Yeah, I didn't start ultra running till I was 41 years old. And then after I was 41 years old, I ran 43 ultras. And my last one was in my 60s, and I'm 72 now, and I'm still running. I'm going to be running a 200-mile relay in a couple of months that I'm training for now. There's 6 people splitting up 200 miles. And so I'm still, still running a lot, and I love it. And it's because, I'm still able to run well at my age with no problems at all. In fact, I haven't had a running injury since 1991. And
Danny, I must say,
one thing I noticed that,
yeah, I was going to say, I must say that you don't look, a day older than 50.
Thank you.
No,
You're so
honestly.
kind. Yeah.
So,
Well, go ahead.
Danny, what's an ultra? You mentioned ultra. I would like my audiences to understand. You said you did 40 ultra.
Yeah. So an ultra marathon is any running distance longer than a marathon, and a marathon is 26.2 miles. And so anything longer than 26 miles. And so I did ultra marathons, quite a few 50K and 50 milers. And then I did a couple of 100K and 200 milers. So yeah, that's a long way to go. But those were
gold
what's
medal
that?
in your category.
Yeah. So out of the 43 ultra marathons that I ran, I was able to podium finish in 40 of them, 40 out of 43. So it just shows that technique and good breathing, when mixed together, and it wasn't difficult for me to do that. It was easier for me to do that than somebody who wasn't trained in good technique and good breathing and stuff like that. I tell you, just like Milind says, it makes a world of difference in your competitive edge.
Can I ask one question to both of you, Milind and Danny? See, we practice pranayam in India, and pranayam is a practice. And what type of breathing exercises that you do I assume you are in USA or Europe, which part of the world?
I'm in the US.
Yeah, so
I'm
this
in
Indian technique.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between the techniques followed by the Indian pranayam and what you are saying you practiced in 91 or so?
Very little difference, because I studied a lot of pranayam before, so I was already doing that. But in the US, they don't really teach that. They don't teach breathing as much, at all. And they don't realize the whole importance of it. And I saw the importance of it when I was doing yoga and pranayama, and saw how it affected me and how it helped my fitness. But then when Patrick McKeown came out with his book, it really made it specific, exactly very many different things to do. And he also, as a scientist, and got all the studies together to show why breathing from a deeper place and more slowly, why it affects you and what the physiology is. And nobody in the US really paid much attention to that. It was all about just training harder to get your VO2 max up, instead of breathing differently to get your VO2 max up,
Milind, I would like to ask you, Milind, is that the techniques that you showed about breathing,
Yes.
Do you advise that the people who are there in our session should do it under a supervision of somebody who is a trained pranayam teacher or something, or they can just practice looking at your video or something?
Yes, they can practice at looking at the video.
Okay, so no need for to be supervised, right?
If they know pranayam, this is only on breath exhale. When you exhale, breath hold is on exhale. That is the difference. In pranayam, it is on inhale.
Anyway, so I'm now going to request anybody else who wants to question to either raise hand or put it in the chat, then I can give you permission to speak. Okay, one person is requested. Apurva has, Apurva, can you please speak? Apurva? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir. Milind sir, one bit of advice for people who are approaching 60 and who are also overweight. No, because I love to exercise. I exercise every day, including Sunday. I also exercise in the night before going to sleep. And this is all aerobic exercise, like climbing the staircase and all that. But the weight, the weight is an issue. And
Okay. Wait, I did Dikshit diet, as I told. I was also 71 kgs in 2017. Can you hear me?
Apurva is a little more. He can hear you.
yes, sir, I can hear you. Yeah.
Apurva, you and me would be same weight, no? 90 plus?
90 plus, but I'm, it's stable in the sense that what I do believe is that every day I have to do exercise, come what may. Barish hoye, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, I have to do exercise morning and evening. And, but it's difficult. And so I was just wondering if you had any hints, because my weight is not going to come down, but my health is going to stay good.
Only exercise doesn't reduce your weight.
Exactly.
You have to do proper diet plan to that.
Yeah.
What I did was I was 71 and doing exercise regularly. Still, I was not coming below 71. So I followed Dikshit diet. That is 2 meals only.
Yeah.
One in afternoon, one in evening. Nothing else in between. Not even tea. No sugar and no milk. So that reduced my weight 6 kgs in 2 months.
Are you on Dikshit diet permanently, or is it for a short time till you bring the weight down to normal?
It will come down drastically. Within 6 to 7 months, you should be able to control your weight at least 20 kgs.
Okay.
If you do this
Okay.
meticulously.
Right, sir.
Milind, I would like to, if you're through with it, because we have spent a lot of time now, more than 1.5 hours. I would like to end the session. If anybody has any question, they can raise their hand and then maybe I can ask. One panelist, who's there? I think Sandhi. Sandhi, you have already asked your question, right?
Yeah, I just have one more question. I used to run and then I had a herniated disc. And, I was told not to run vigorously because I was pounding concrete. That was one of the issues. So the question is, an alternate was given to me was brisk walking. Does that give the same level of benefit if I was to do brisk walking at a much faster rate? And number two, without even my knowledge, as my need for oxygen goes up, I end up opening the mouth. Do you suggest that I keep mouth shut and reduce my speed and oxygen consumption, or force myself through nose even while I'm exercising?
Yeah, nose breathing is most essential. You must shut your mouth, because when you breathe through mouth, you are breathing this high. These muscles are used, only this, and these are very weak set of muscles, and you get more exhausted because this muscle has fatigue, develop fatigue immediately. So you again try to breathe through mouth only. So basically you reduce your speed and try to maximize nasal breathing as much as possible and stop. I used to take water after 2.5 kilometers before nasal breathing. But now after nasal breathing, I don't need water up to 16 or 17 kilometers. So because mouth becomes dry when you mouth breathe. So you need to take water intake. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Can you
can,
also talk about brisk walking versus running?
yeah, you can go on brisk walking. We can talk about that after
Yeah.
discussion also.
Okay, so thank you, Milind, and I also thank all the people who joined, the panelists and the people who attended the program and made this program so gorgeous, and everybody has learned a lot. We know everything, but we never practice it, you know. And Milind, you are a multifaceted personality, and I have seen what presentation you have for Africa and wildlife. So I'll be inviting you for one more program to help us understand what you have done in wildlife photography and astronomy. I will request Mustafa and Sandeep Bide and you to join hands to make a Jugalbandi for the astronomy program. So looking forward for that in the future. With the permission of all of you, I'd like to say thank you and good night, and wish you a happy weekend. If everybody is comfortable, with your permission, Milind, can I end the program?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. And this program will be there on Facebook. Immediately, I'll be putting the links in all our chats and all. So please see it, forward to your friends and all. And on Monday, this program will be edited and brought onto YouTube. It will be also on the gyanadav.org website. And please do not forget to donate to Nityasha is somewhere here. If you go on the website, there's a donate link there. And please donate to, this money will be going to children suffering from type 1 diabetes, very poor children. And these are children who do not produce any insulin. They need insulin 3 times a day. They need to test their glucose 3 times a day. And they need continuous counseling. They are pretty sick. And we take care presently of 140 children. Because we conduct programs in Gyanadav, collect money and support Nityasha Foundation. Both the NGOs, Gyanadav and Nityasha, are handled by our own managing committees. So thank you very much and good night, everybody. So I take your permission and end the program.
You can give my number also.
Yeah, okay, I'll give your number.
Anybody can contact me directly.
I'll be sending your number to everybody after this program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Milind.
Good night.
Bol, Sandeep, bol.
Even if Diwali is coming up, you know what Milind said, no sugar in the morning.
Yeah.
We'll do it after Diwali. Then comes New Year, then we'll do after New Year, you know, so always we postpone.
Initially.
Danny, do you practice Dikshit diet?
No, he doesn't need.
He doesn't need.
I do.
Okay.
I do eat twice a day.
You also eat twice a day. Okay. Early dinner, huh? Chala.